I have played Arc Raiders a ton over the last month, literally hundreds of hours. This video isn't to explain that I'm bored with the content of the game, but that the game has evolved over the past month from one type of game into another. The original Arc Raiders is dead, and there's a completely different game in its place now. Arc Raiders was designed as a PvP-VE game, but now it's strictly a PvP game. The sad part is that anyone with online PvP experience could have told you that this is where it would end up. It's just the natural progression. If there aren't any gameplay checks in place, it will always reduce down to just a PvP game. It's just Battle Royale with extra steps, making you farm for your gear. The game was insanely fun to start. Most people were very friendly and they wanted to avoid combat. The entire player base was just learning the game, searching for unlocks. People were learning the map, so most people just wanted to explore, check things out, fight the robots together. But eventually, every YouTube video started telling everyone where to go, and people started flocking to the exact same spots. People became more comfortable with combat and now actively seek it out. Before, if you got into a firefight, having another team show up was pretty rare. When a player gets downed, a flare is shot into the air to reveal where the combat took place. Initially, this acted as a warning to most to stay away from that area, but over time, that became an invitation. Now when you win a fight against other players, it's almost worth leaving the loot behind just to flee, because you're about to get caught in 3 or 4 back-to-back battles fighting off players trying to take advantage of the situation. This genuinely happens so often that the moment someone starts shooting me, I've already signed off that I'm not making it out of this, regardless if I win the encounter. Other players always show up. It was not like this at all in the first couple weeks. So now that the gameplay has completely shifted, here's the problem. PvP at the forefront of the game starts to boil the fat off all the other mechanics. Everyone has realized that gear doesn't matter. Shooting first gives you an extreme advantage. Cosmetics can conceal or reveal your position. People have begun cyclical looting in specific locations, and glitches and cheating have become commonplace. Let's start with the gear doesn't matter. Most items in the game are useful. It's pretty well balanced, but they have drawbacks through their cost. Most of the high-tier weapons are not much stronger in damage or time to kill, but they provide other bonuses like larger magazines or faster fire rates, but they come at a huge price difference of epic parts that you will not find many of. Initially, having a recipe to craft these weapons was seen as a big boon, but now with PvP ramping up, you'll frequently lose these weapons in engagements. Having to recraft them at such a high cost means that you can't consistently lose these weapons, which encourages you to avoid combat. The other downside is that you don't have the materials to recraft it. Now you're forced to use another weapon and lose your personal expertise you've been building up with that epic weapon. Now you've got to use something you're unfamiliar with until you can rebuild those materials. Well, why not just use the easier to make weapons full time so this doesn't happen? Some may argue it's because the epic weapons are better, but that's where it all falls apart. Remember when we said the game is pretty balanced? It is. It's balanced around about a 2-second time to kill. If you catch someone off guard, it doesn't matter what weapon you have, you are very likely to win that encounter. It's almost guaranteed unless you mess it up. So if you're just shooting people in the back, and you almost guaranteed to win regardless of weapon, why are you spending all these materials crafting epic guns? They don't make any difference. You still kill people in a couple of seconds before they can even react. This is where the entire gear loop falls apart. Everyone is running around with easy to craft weapons because all you need to do is get a jump on someone to win, and carrying around epic weapons doesn't help you survive getting shot in the back. Shooting first gives you such a huge advantage that it means you cannot trust anyone. If you go to open any breachable container, attempt to extract, climb any ladder, you are unable to react before you die. This is because your character completely stows their weapon to begin doing the animation. Other actions like opening a door or smaller containers like cabinets or drawers will only partially stow your weapon so that you can quickly get back to fighting. Looting covers your entire screen with menus as well, which leaves you vulnerable. And I get that that's the point, but it doesn't work when you die so fast that you can't react. If people can kill me before I can draw my weapon, then I can never trust anyone. If I can't trust anyone, then what's the point in ever trying to talk or negotiate? If I'm just shooting on sight, how is this any different from any other PvP game? Half the things in the game lose their purpose. There's no need for defibrillators in solo play, there's no need for any other grenades besides the trigger grenade, there's no need to ever breach containers because it leaves you vulnerable for such large periods, you can't loot anything that makes noise because it attracts attention from miles away, you can't fight any of the bigger arc enemies, you can't push the button at extract with anyone else there, and because of all that, now you have to pick your cosmetics based on its PvP viability. Many of the backpacks have lights on them that are not able to be turned off, and nighttime gameplay is the best place to get better loot, so you want to spend a lot of time there. But now you can't wear cosmetics that you bought because the lights shine so brightly that they give your position away from across the map. The best outfits are the ones that are dark and muted colors, not shiny, that can allow you to blend in with the background and not create a silhouette. With PvP at the forefront and time to kill being so low, revealing your position through a cosmetic is basically asking to never extract again. Speaking of night raids, now that people have learned where the best loot is, these locations are always camped, they're swarmed, and they turn into massive firefights that you can only win if you're lucky. Night maps have no rotating extraction points, they're always the same, so campers will often post up near these extractions. One player will always have to make themselves vulnerable to calling the extraction, which gives the campers the advantage at all times. Any attempt to fight these players off leads to more attention on your location, and a third party or another group of people just trying to extract will show up and take everyone out. You can't win. It's a tremendous amount of luck in these maps right now. Since people are so tired of dying, many people have taken to just running through buildings with no equipment or very little equipment just to grab what loot they can and then try to escape. This also leads to what we talked about earlier with the breachable containers not being looted because it makes you vulnerable. So all the shelves and desks will be looted, but none of the breachables will be looted. The problem with these players is that fighting them yields you so little to no loot that you spend all your resources fighting them or defending yourself from them, and then when you loot their body, they hardly have any supplies. You can win 2 or 3 of these fights in a row, but they mean nothing because you're not gaining any loot from those wins. You spend all your time defending a high value location, and now you have to leave without looting because you're out of supplies. This hotspot looting rotation makes it to where all the loot on the map will be gone if you aren't the first person there, but it also means that players are significantly more likely to risk combat to try and get into the building first, which leads to massive firefights. Additionally, players will spawn into a map, and if they don't have a favorable spawn location, they'll just quit on the spot. This will drop their body right on the ground at the spawn. Many players have complained online that they're recently entering raids after they're halfway completed. This is because there's so much PvP going on, and so many people are bailing on unfavorable spawns, that now your only option is to come in late to matches, and there's no loot, and all the campers are ready to rock you if you even come close, so now your best move is to just extract and try for a fresh map. Glitches and cheating are now making a hefty presence in the game. Thankfully, the developers have recently struck back against some glitches, but it's not quite enough yet. Players were so openly and so brazenly okay with glitching through walls that while I ran around solo, players would shout for me to come and help them do it.
Hey, you wanna push in the red room? Where you at?
Inside the building, like you can glitch inside.
Nah, I don't have a key.
No, you can just glitch inside and do it. I can show you how.
Where?
I'll come over there.
I'm good, bro. We'll pass. We're trying to do this quest.
People have been glitching into locked rooms, going out of bounds, flying, increasing the fire rate of their weapons, running faster. I have personally had situations where I've used a rare consumable to access a locked room and have had that room already be empty. I've seen people abuse mechanics to fire their gun faster, and I've been shot a few times from locations that I don't think people should be able to reach. The problem is that more will be discovered. If there are too many glitches and cheats, the integrity of the game becomes compromised, and it becomes easy to believe that anyone was cheating. I had one match where someone killed me at my spawn on a fresh map, less than a minute from start to death. How did that player know I was there? How did he get there so quickly? Was it chance? Was it a glitch? Were they cheating? It's hard to tell, but when there's all these major problems, it becomes difficult to discern. As always, I try to not offer complaints without solutions. Here are a few things I would adjust. The game needs some cost to PvP. Backpack passives need major reworks. Trigger nades need to be nerfed. Lower tier weapons need their fire rate reduced. It needs minimum requirements on entering raids, and they need to limit what free kits can do. Arc Raiders right now is PvP, but I'm going to argue that it's actually not PvP at all, and here's my point. Is it really PvP if you have a sniper rifle and you're shooting a bunch of unarmed players running around in a barrel? If that's PvP, then Arc Raiders is PvP. If it's not, then Arc Raiders is not PvP. Shooting an unaware player in the back and killing them before they can react isn't PvP. It's just whoever shoots first. A player should want to weigh the costs of engaging in PvP, but there's nothing like that right now. Killing a player before they can see you just gives you their loot and makes sure it can't happen to you. I think one of the best atypical PvP systems ever made is actually Dark Souls. Players can invade each other's games, but the person being invaded may not want to participate in PvP. This puts the aggressor at a massive advantage because they're the one choosing to fight. Does that sound familiar? Well, in Dark Souls, you can summon help. There's something called the Blue Covenant, and it's a player that's basically going to be your champion to fight against the invader. This lets a defensive PvPer fight against the aggressive PvPer. Of course, most PvPers hate this because they like not having to fight for their kills, but that's why they're thriving in Arc Raiders right now. The thing is, Arc Raiders has the perfect system to deal with over-aggressive players. It's the Arc. Just make a bounty hunter type of Arc unit that hunts down players in the match. Make it reveal their position. Make it like the Regenerator in Dead Space or Mr. X in Resident Evil that just non-stop chases you down. They could even make it something that the victims have to pay for. Make it to where you have to die to a player, and then you can contribute resources to activate this bot against them if they've wronged you. There are honestly a ton of solutions on how to handle PvP as a choice rather than the default, but it requires the developers to want to do that. Backpack passives are all over the place. They currently do things like give you health regeneration out of combat, they allow you to recharge your shields while you're running, or they let you stay in the down but not out indefinitely. The problem is these are basically all losers buffs. They only activate if you're losing or have lost or have finished an encounter. You have to find some way to use these outside of a fight, but fights are so quick that they're almost meaningless. And since they're not useful in a fight, the backpacks just have no impact on the game. They need to be retooled to do combat-oriented things, like reflect bullets if you're shot in the back. They need to reduce damage from sniper fire. They need to give you immunity to a grenade blast every 30 seconds. Something of that nature. Enough to shake up PvP so that it's not as predictable. Right now, every backpack provides so little that it doesn't matter what people have equipped. You know exactly how long it takes to kill them. Certain items need outright nerfs. Trigger nade is one of them. It's the grenade that does the most damage in the widest area, and it activates instantly. There's no defense against it. If another player has 2 trigger nades and they can hit you with them, you're guaranteed to lose the encounter. It's over. Most grenades have longer fuse times that allow you to escape or at least react, or they have smaller explosions but activate instantly. Trigger nades do the best of both, and they're out of control. Lower tier weapons are so competitive with high-end weapons that it's only reasonable to use the cheaper stuff. They need to make cheaper weapons fire slower or take longer to kill a player. I don't really mind if they can kill a player in one magazine, but they shouldn't be able to dump that entire magazine in less than 2 seconds. Raids need requirements to enter. Stuff like night raids needs a certain amount of supplies or guns. No running through naked just to grab the loot and quit out. I would even accept something like a fee to go in, so that way you're paying something to go in and you feel like you have to extract the materials to make up that cost. Right now, free kits, in case you didn't know, are just sets of free equipment that you're given to make sure you can always play the game even if you're completely out of gear. Many players use these kits to try and ambush players and just steal their loot. The problem is if you win against the free kit, you rarely get any supplies off their body because free kits come with so little supplies to begin with. And since the guns are so well balanced, a free kit may not be able to kill you in one mag, but they'll definitely leave you damaged and vulnerable and draw attention to the location when their flare goes off. The easiest way to prevent this playstyle would be to prevent free kits from being able to loot enemy raiders. Now they can use the kits to defend themselves if needed, but it encourages them to avoid combat and loot and go home so that they can come back with a proper kit. Arc Raiders has gone from mostly fun to a high-stress environment with no fooling around at all times. I think it'll struggle in the future because it has reduced down to just PvP with extra steps. Now instead of hopping into a battle royale, you have to farm for materials and items every time before you deploy. Unless the devs add some anti-PvP mechanisms, shooting on sight is your best defense against having it happen to you. Arc Raiders was an absolute blast to play, but if it doesn't get some changes, the fun is kind of sucked out of it.